It's Work-Life Balance third episode. It's Maria and Nadia, and our lovely ghost, not the ghost, guest, guest. Okay.
I can be.
Yeah, you know, our lovely guest, Anya. So I would love to tell you how I met Anya. So Anya is a communication manager in America House, Kiev, and it's a lovely place because I always feel like I'm at home in America House. Like you're absolutely sweet and your programs are amazing. Actually, I would like to advertise your programs because, like, currently I am going there and Windows Camp
Windows to Success.
Windows to Success. Like, it's war, very hard times, but America House helping Ukrainian women to keep achieving their goals despite the fact that it's war going on. And Anya were helping on our international conference to do social media. And actually, a lot of media stuff that I'm actually doing, I learned from Anya. So it's lovely lady that is very skilled, and I learn a lot from her. So Anya, hi.
Hi everyone, I'm Anya. Nice to be here. Excited or not excited? It's like such a difficult topic, but I'm happy to be here and talk about my experiences.
So, Anya, could you please tell us how was your first week of the war? How it started? How did you feel? Like whether there are any like interesting stories to tell? Like I'm sure you have a lot to tell. So please.
Yeah, there've been an interesting story, I'd say. The week before the full-scale invasion started, I've been in Ternopil. It's my hometown in the western part of Ukraine. And just for 2 days, I decided to go back to Kyiv because I wanted to go to dancing classes. Invasion started, I've been in.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to go to dancing classes to meet my friends just for 2 days and then go back because things were getting pretty intense. And at night of 23rd, I arrived to Kyiv just
in time.
Yeah, just in time. And I asked my friends to meet me and stay over because, something could happen. And it did. So, yeah, I'm happy that I wasn't alone. And I couldn't fall asleep that night. And I was watching the YouTube channel of Council of National Security of Ukraine, and there was like started a lot of comments like bombing in Khmelnytsky, bombing in Kyiv, and I was like, those are bots. It's like some scam.
Yeah, like the first reaction is denial. Like when you so close to a trauma, you're like, oh my god, like, it's not true. It's not happening. Like
yeah exactly. And
but
then
when you heard it,
I heard explosions around my home. And then I understand that it's happening, and I woke up my friend, and we took necessary things, and we were sitting in bathroom and planning what to do. And that day we went back to Ternopil, and I stayed there. And on the first day we donated blood. We did a lot of volunteering online, like translations for Detector Media website to share information and fight disinformation of Russian propaganda. So yeah, that's how it started.
Well, that's pretty intense. And how did you feel overall? Like, were you scared, or were you like feeling brave and like determined to fight? Like, what? Or like maybe just a mix of emotions? Like, I guess it was such a case.
Yeah, it was total mix because at first you are terrified, but then you need to be like very sharp and understand what to do. And I was feeling like strategic or something. Like we need to pack those things. We need to buy tickets. We need to try those ways to go to the Western Ukraine. And what was like good about that every Ukrainian was feeling united, and it helped to hang in. And also memes that started then.
Yeah. The memes just saved our like brains, like our souls.
Yeah, humor helps a lot. So yeah, I was horrified and devastated, but at the same time trying to be brave and feeling like confident that we will win because we have no other choice. We need it.
Yeah, exactly. And as far as I know, you spent few weeks abroad. How was it?
Yeah, after the first week, I went to Poland to my cousin, and I've been there for 2 months actually. So that was a lot of time, and I felt better being in Ternopil than being there. I think you understand how it feels. Every day I wanted to go back, and every day I was trying to find some some things to go back, but like for safety reasons and having this opportunity, I stayed there. But overall, being in Poland was very welcoming from their side. And when you ride on the tram, they have this TV screens, and they showed vocabulary for Ukrainians in Polish.
Oh my god, it's so sweet.
They had a lot of "My z vami," "We support you" in Ukrainian on the streets. Also, there was a huge mural, like 5-floor building of Zelensky. So the support was enormous, and also I was volunteering. A lot of "Мы з вами," "We support you" in Ukraine.
Sorry, technical
happens.
problems. Yeah, we're just learning how to make proper podcasts. So yeah, continue with the like, nice buildings. And where did you stay? Like in what city?
In Krakow.
Yeah.
In Krakow was my cousin,
Mhm.
and I was volunteering at train station, meeting people who arrived and telling them what to do, where to go, where is food, where is like accommodation and stuff. And then also I found other volunteering opportunity. I stayed at improvised kindergarten for Ukrainian kids, so their parents can do something and like figure out what to do next. So I met like Dasha and Sasha, 2 girls, 6 and 7 years, and they were 2 girls from 5 children families. So
Wow.
and we spent a lot of time together, and they were my close friends. So it was so nice.
And kids, how are you there? How are you there talking about the war?
It seems like they understand everything, or like they know like it's war, it's like it's bad, it's happening, but at the same time they're very strong, I'd say, and like confident. I don't know, it was kind of weird to see.
Yeah, like it should feel so surreal. Like they are children, they should enjoy their childhood and not like be like know what is war, what is a tragedy, and like it's so heartbreaking maybe to see like children who actually understand what's happening, even though they are little. Like they should be playing around, like watching cartoons, and not fleeing from a war and from explosions.
And I was impressed how like this 5-year kid was being so calm and talking about like we went from there, it was bombing there, but now it's good here, we are here in safety. And it's like very calm, like it's like everyday stuff that happens.
This generation and these kids that are like going to the garden, picking cherries there and selling them to donate to Ukrainian army. It's completely
Like-
another generation.
Yeah, like we are invincible when we have such kids.
I just-
when like 5-year-olds collaborate to our army.
And I read somewhere that if you've been a kid, have an experience that in a difficult situation, you have ability to change something and to influence this difficult situation. Like you will have pretty special attitude toward issues in this world. So I really hope that will help to learn them, solve any issues they face. And actually, if we mentioned these kids that were selling cherries and donating Ukrainian army, I would like to talk about our childhood or school years a little bit. As a few weeks ago, Ukraine became a candidate to European Union. Yay! It's crazy long story because like Ukraine, very old ancient country, Ukrainian language, it was formed like from 9 till 11th centuries.
Yeah,
And-
when Moscow didn't even exist, like
Yeah.
Russia didn't, like nothing existed in there between besides like some swamps and like frogs. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we were enjoying nice European life, like Ukrainian princes were ruling different European countries, like nice international relationship, international laws. For example, Magdeburg law was applied in Kiev many years ago. Churches,
like the
universities.
first constitution, like we really are good at making laws. Yeah.
But in the life of each girl and each country, there is a bad guy who are treating you poorly. Never accept that.
neighbor.
Yeah.
And it's also true that for a few years Ukraine were having close ties with Russia, and we didn't like it. And when we were at school, at university, on history classes, we were studying how different Ukrainian politicians or governors, they were thinking which way to choose, pro-European way or pro-Russian way, and there was a lot of different complicated things, but it was a history lessons for us. But actually, it's not a history lessons, like it's part of our life and even part of our childhood because I don't remember a lot of stuff. Like I don't remember how I was born in 1993, and in 1994, Ukraine signed a document that Ukraine would like to join the European Union. So it's long, very long story, but I definitely remember how in 2004 we had massive protests all over the country, and I was in a sixth grade. So I definitely remember that my parents were making sandwiches from dark bread and butter and cheese, were making really sweet tea, and we were grabbing everything, wearing very warm clothes because Ukrainian winters are just crazy cold. And we were going to the main street of the Kyiv, and people were living on the main street in tents, and they were living there for weeks, for months. And I clearly remember the reason because the elections wasn't fair, and it's just terrible. It just shouldn't be like that. And pro-Russian president was elected, and no one wanted that. So I was a little girl. I remember, like, I were going to my piano lessons, and with my piano teachers we were discussing, yeah, unfair election is just terrible thing. Yeah, so just it was strange that like a very young kid is engaged into politics, but I was. So do you remember your 2004?
Yeah, I remember it not that good. I was in second grade, so I was very little. But I remember my brother, he's 10 years older. He'd been studying in Kyiv, and he sent photos from the Orange Revolution with Ukrainian flags. And also in our class, we were singing Разом нас багато, нас не подолати. It was
a
kind
thing,
of the song of the time.
Yeah, it
of
was
the
like
revolution.
Stephania 2004.
Yeah, so that's what I remember about this revolution, but I wasn't like understanding, I think, what happened then, and I got it like when I get older. And the revolution of dignity, it's the one I remember very
Nadia,
clearly.
what about you and your 2004?
Oh yeah, it was such an hectic year because like when the revolution started, like I remember it really well. I grew up in a small village in the west of Ukraine, and like everyone in there, of course, was pro Yushchenko, like pro Ukrainian European side. And so everyone was wearing like everything orange or just like orange ribbons. Like I think you understand. Like everyone was pro Yushchenko. But then my like I lived in Ukraine, but my parents were living in Spain at the time. Like they just moved in like for a few months before, like to try to do like to find some work, and they were so scared that we had this revolution and so much so many things going on. So, and they thought there was gonna be a war in Ukraine, so they took me and my sister. We just moved to Spain as well with my parents. So like I didn't live in Ukraine until like the end, like the next elections when Yushchenko win. But it was like a really game-changing year for me. But I remembered like it well. Like I was so happy to see like it was so surreal that people like in the fifth grade, sixth grade were like so involved in politics. Like they understood everything. They read all the newspapers. They watched the news. They discussed the politics. Like in what other country did you see like children of 10 years old discussing politics like seriously and fighting for it? Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
even
this
in
is
your
right.
music
Yeah.
lesson, so in your ordinary school, your music school, and like everything was clear. If pro-Russian president will rule Ukraine, like the life will be terrible. And but I still remember that I didn't get the one thing. Why? We are making food and sandwiches at home, bringing them to the main square where people living in tent, and they are giving food to me. Just it was crazy. Like, guys, I made that for you. No, why are you giving me cookies? Like, mom, that's strange. I'm living in home. And also I remember that my relatives that were living in different cities, they also were like leaving their jobs, so their bosses allowed them not to go to the work and to join protests in Kiev. I remember it was very important to come to Kiev to the protests. Like all my relatives were staying at our place. They were they were sleeping on the floor, on the mattresses, bringing sweets and candies, and there was very special feeling, like you feel the changes, something
Yeah.
huge will happen. But also I know that your I think your parents thought that the war will start in 2004.
Oh yeah, like they thought that this and like yeah, like thanks God it didn't happen at that time.
Mhm.
But like actually, it's pretty sad that for the third time in this century, like yeah, the century, we have to fight once again for the democracy values. Like we fought in 2004, like 2014, and like now, like it's pretty sad when you think about it. Like why to be a normal a democratic country you must like fight with your blood, like die, like actually like have a war.
Yeah.
So
And also I remember that I felt really safe there. People was very
yeah,
friendly
yeah,
and
because
were
you,
sharing food
yeah,
and
like all the support, like yeah,
yeah.
and it happened like in the 2004 and like 2013 14, like when we were a bit more adult and we remember it more clearly. And yeah, like the amount of support you get, like you gave all the support you had, you received a lot of support, like everyone was so supportive of everything. Like if you think about this, you just get that Russia was trying to invade a wrong country, and like how can you invade a country that's united where like 6-year-old children donate to army, while like 10 years old discuss politics. Like
Just
I like discuss well, I think. Like
yeah, I remember my very no very mature comments when I was like 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, unfair election sucks. Just,
and those were like pretty valid like thoughts. Like you still think the same way, I guess.
Yeah, you did the right
Yeah,
thing.
like that's called, I don't know, maybe intelligence, like when you do not regret and you see that you were right at that moment and you still are right
yeah,
about this.
and actually in my 8th grade we were having law lessons and we were
Mhm.
studying constitutions, all human rights, and that was cool because when I was in New York I were doing my Fulbright year. I also went one volunteering program and I were teaching kids in school. It was Spanish for graders, and I were telling them about war in Ukraine. And I was so fascinated that 4 years for kids in the fourth grade, they also so engaged in politics. Like when I were talking about invasion, some Mexican girls like, yeah, that was made on in Mexico as well. And or something, my mom is told that Donald Trump is bad president as you're gonna coach. So they were
Yeah.
also so engaged in politics. Like that's pretty probably important for institutions that teach kids like to spread right messages, not like Russian propaganda, these days, because we also may see how kids in Russia are learning strange lessons. God, I even don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, like I always repeat these days that children in the kindergartens in Russia should learn like logics or philosophy or something, like how to think clearly and not be involved in all this brainwashing. But the way we would like to ask you, like, if you can please donate to our organization, like to our like you got all the requisites like in our
Yeah.
funds, please. Yeah, we have almost gathered enough money for a drone. Yeah, like
Actually,
yeah.
I a little bit afraid to announce that, but we fundraise huge amount of money. It's 800 euros. It's huge.
1,000 or
Yes, 1,000.
8,000 euros. Thank you
8,000
everyone.
euros.
Thank you everyone who donated.
And
yeah.
actually, now we are trying to prepare all documents. So one Ukrainian NGO will double this amount, and
Oh.
we will buy not one drone but 5.
Oh, amazing.
But I hope it will work out. But we're still preparing documents, But if you're donating us, we're spending this money pretty well. And this time we made our Patreon. So just in case you like our talks, you can become our Patreon. And actually, we're not going to spend this money on buying better microphone or something like that, but we're going to buy combat tourniquets to help our soldiers to stay more alive. So it's nice, and I think it's why it's nice to become our Patreon, because you will also be a Patreon of Ukrainian soldiers, and they will get a tourniquet.
and it will help save our lives. Like I spoke with one of the fighters a few days ago, like the one who you donated to, like already made tourniquets, and it was so sad. Like he was so surprised, like, oh my god, like did you send us some tourniquets? Like, wow, like thank you. And I was so surprised because like it doesn't cost that much, but it's so difficult to get a proper one, like the one who doesn't break, who doesn't kill you or something. And like it's so sad that such an essential in the army or in the battlefield is so hard to find. So yeah, it's like now it's our top one priority. Like
because it's a basic thing, and you know,
Yeah.
it's you can use it only one time, so you always need tourniquets, and we're ordering this in Norway, and one combat tourniquet generation 7 costs $55. So
but it's not that much, and it spends like really quickly. Like
Yeah.
the people, like it's just like used, I don't know, like water. I don't know, like
yeah,
like
exactly.
it goes like they need a lot of them. So
Because
free to
due to
support.
the statistic,
Mhm.
the main reason for death on the battlefield
Mhm.
is blood loss.
Yeah,
Yep. So
and such a simple thing like that costs $50 can totally help save a life. Like
exactly, and that actually happened with brother of my husband.
Oh.
We're just about to talk about revolution in 2014. We were students there, so we remember everything more clear.
Mhm.
But my husband has a younger brother, so he was 17 years old in 2014, and he voluntarily joined the army. In few months he was 18, and first he were helping in kitchen. He didn't tell his parents. He told that he was studying in university in another city. Yep, he voluntarily joined the army. Then he proceeded trainings and became a soldier, and he got a mine. And because he had a medical aid on the battlefield, he was very quickly transported. He lost half of his leg, but he's alive. Yeah. And when the war started, he joined the army again to protect us. So, indeed, just very each combat medic have only 1 hour, and they call it the golden hour because it's the amount of time you have to save someone's lives. And Tourniquet is doing great job for that. And talking about 2014, we were students, and there was another revolution and protest in Ukraine. Because, again, about European development, President Yanukovych didn't refuse to sign European-Ukrainian agreement, and everyone was extremely unsatisfied. Like, we didn't want to have close economical and cultural ties with Russia, because I clearly remember that it seems that if your hand close or die with Russia, you are living in more corrupted country. Courts are not working, and you are not able to travel all around the world without proper documents. And it also felt that you will lose your freedom and identity, and like you won't be able to do what you want, and you will have to obey some rules that someone is saying you to do. And it felt really, and also in university we have already learned what is empire, what is empire policy, why some countries are just not investing in their economy, in smart people, but they are just going to other territories and exploiting people there, exploiting sources there, and then they are going to another territory. Like we were smarter there.
And you were studying together, right?
Yeah, we studied literature together. Yeah.
So what do you remember from 2014?
I remember when Euromaidan started. I started university in Kyiv. I studied in Institute of Journalism, and I remember the night when it started very well. So we were like all the students. I lived in dorm, and we gathered in one room, and we read tweet of Mustafa Nayem that let's go out, let's fight, and we were like, yeah, it's the right thing to do. And we went out just right away, just packed some backpacks and went there. And ever since, like almost every day, we were visiting the Maidan and square and protesting, because like Ukraine brought up a generation of fighters, I think. And we are like in any age, you know that you need to fight, and you know the most important for what you are fighting. So yes, we were there, and it started like peaceful protests. A lot of people, students, we were there helping, volunteering, protesting, and then when the night when students were beaten started, that was like very on the contrast.
Maybe
of what was
we
before.
should explain on which night we were talking.
Yeah, please explain like a short story of Maidan.
So actually, the peaceful protests were going on, but they were going on for too long, and our pro-Russian president Yanukovych didn't like it. So first, he started like using water, and it was cold winter, so he like some people who were in police, some police officers, they were like sprinkling water on people in winter, and then police officers started beating peaceful protests, and
mostly students.
students. Yep. And that like a few people died, I guess.
Yep.
Like at the beginning, like little by little, but there were more and more people like dying, and in the end of the day, we had like maybe a bit more than 100 people who have died just on Maidan, like on those few months of the revolution.
Yeah, and when students were beaten, like it became really serious and huge, because like how your own president can beat students in his own country using his own police. That's just terrible. It's completely unfair. And everyone was so sympathetic to students, so such protest they just increased, and our president again was not satisfied with that. And the snipers started working on Maidan, and they were just killing people, and it was terrible.
Like I guess everyone has
Russian style.
Yeah, it's not like you would do anything like fight like a crazy just not to be involved in such a country as Russia, or like something pro-Russian.
But what Ukrainians did, they didn't go home.
Yeah, they actually
do.
they went really angry. I remember, like for me, this like after the students were beaten, like right after that, like 1 hour after, my boyfriend, it started as a war for me. My boyfriend woke me up at 5 a.m. and he told me like, and we were protesting like on the protest like the evening before, so we left at 11 p.m. And at 5 a.m. my boyfriend woke me up and he said like, oh my god, like the students, like our friends have been beaten, like we should go and protest. And so we just woke up, like we waited until the transport started functioning again. And I guess like every one of us just got to Maidan to protest, because it's just not a way to do business, like not a way to do politics while beating peaceful protesters. So like it all started at 5 a.m.
Yeah,
this beating
again.
Yeah, but Yanukovych did not like couldn't even imagine what force did he wake up that night.
And also I have like had the same feeling as during this war now, that it's like huge injustice happening, like when students were beaten, and now it's just overall situation. And I remember I was volunteering at Kyiv City administration building, and it was like kind of cool. You are just there, people.
But explain why you were there.
Yeah, so a lot of people came to Kyiv to protest, to fight for their rights, and they needed place to sleep and eat. And I was helping with food with my group mates and course mates.
Where did you get
it? We just brought it from home, like everyone just brought something, and it appeared that that's a lot of food for many people. And a lot of people were sleeping in the building, and it was like a bit surreal. So you are in the government building making sandwiches,
and people are sleeping there.
But actually the sandwiches were pretty good. Like I remember like also being offered a sandwich, like such a random spot, like you're just protesting on the square, and then someone brings you sandwiches, like, would you like a sandwich? And you're like, okay, thank you so much. And they were delicious. Like, oh my god, like it's not only like spiritual support, like political support, but also like, do you want the food? Do you want some hot tea, some coffee? Like it was like
sorry, I'm eating a sandwich.
You're talking about sandwiches.
And in 2004, I'm coming to the protest, and they're giving me food. So in 2014, you're going to you're getting food. So it's always Ukrainians love sharing food.
Yeah, and when I was standing there and I was in gloves, it was a bit
Mhm.
dirty and messy. And one person came and I recognized that it was my friend who I
Mhm.
haven't seen for a long time. And
Oh.
he was like, "You're here? Like, can I shake your hand?" And I was
That's
like,
recognition, yeah.
I'm doing the right thing. And it
Yeah.
appeared that he was beaten at that night. And
Oh,
but he still was there and keep fighting. So it was like this encouragement from other people saying that you're doing a good thing. It's like it helps also.
Yeah,
So
like
that
it
was
reinforces
like
everything.
Yeah.
and we were missing a lot of lectures in university, but we never had problems with that because our lecturers, teachers,
Mhm.
they also were on the Maidan, and sometimes it's winter, so winter is time when we're having exams. So some exams were held during the protest, just on the main square of the city. And when this year is my first year when I became a lecturer at my university,
Yay!
and can you imagine, like, these little kids are texting to me, Miss Maria, we're planning to go to the protest because our Minister of Education is made a plagiarism, and we're feeling it's not right thing. We're afraid that we may miss your lecture. Of course, no worries, we will. Indeed, yeah. Are you alone? But guys,
Yeah.
like, it's very strange where you were asking your teachers to allow you to miss lesson, to reschedule the lesson, and now you're a lecturer and your students asking you to reschedule the lesson because they need to go to the protest.
Or now this year they just need to go to the bomb shelter or to the war. Like some of your students have joined the army,
Yeah.
and
My student Bogdan joined the army, and he passed an exam. He still
Wow.
was in touch with me, and he
Multitasking.
gets A grade because Steve keep. But the way he were learning English this year, he was talking with international journalists and
Oh.
talking with fighters from international legion because they also were serving in Kiev as well as him. So practice, yeah, nice.
I guess he got an A++.
Yeah.
After all of his efforts.
Yeah.
Also, there were some photos of professors who are teaching classes from the battlefield
Yeah.
or from
Mhm.
bomb shelters. So it's like students are fighting, professors are keep doing their thing, and it's amazing how Ukrainians are unstoppable.
It's just multiple generations. It feels like yesterday I were asking to miss my lesson to go to the Maidan, and today.
Yeah. And today giving permissions to skip a lesson because they are like fighting against Russians. Well, that's so crazy.
Yeah, but it's very nice memories because it ended pretty well because our president Yanukovych just left the country because he was too scared. Because
Yeah.
when the snipers started working on the main street and started killing people, Ukrainians just started defending themselves. They're making special how to call that. So they were bringing protecting stuff and
Mhm.
building barricades
Yeah.
and building and making Molotov cocktails.
Oh,
So
it was such a useful skill. Like
yeah,
for
I
now.
remember during
Yeah.
the first day of war, U.S. colonel texted me on Facebook and said, "I will learn you how to make perfect Molotov cocktail." Yes, thank you, sir, but I already know.
So maybe we could conclude a bit with the like era of Maidan, like with like 2013-14 the Maidan. And can you like maybe remember one nice thing or like the thing that impressed you the most, or like the best memory from that revolution in 2014?
Yeah, it's hard to pick one, but always it's this unity and
Mhm.
like friendly environment. And when we are standing outside and this fire,
Yeah.
I don't know how it's
Smell
called.
of this fire.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bonfires. Yeah,
Yeah.
people with marshmallows. Yeah, I just actually remember being offered a marshmallow from like a builder, like just a man who was building I don't know houses in Kiev, and he also joined the protest. And I was like, we talked for about an hour. I was so surprised to see that this man who like basically works with bricks, I don't know, in construction, he knew literature so well. Like he was so good in talking about French literature, and I was like, oh my god, like what gems do we see at I don't know at such a random spot on political protest? But like marshmallows, bonfire, people who know literature but work in construction, like Like,
Yeah, what
that's a
is
highlight. Yeah.
amazing during all that turbulent period that you are meeting outstanding people and you're building outstanding connections.
Networking.
Yeah.
I really like how I went to the lecture of Dr. Sasha Dovzhik and our amazing donor and
Mhm.
co-host of the first episode. And she told that Ukrainians are often called a networking nation.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what we see now. Like,
Yeah.
and Maria, maybe you could share like a small memory, nice memory from Maidan.
I remember I was so happy when Yanukovych left. So it was amazing that you win, and
Mhm.
that's a great feeling. But also the war started, and Crimea was annexed, and
my
war
God.
on Donbass started, and that was really mixed feelings. Nevertheless, it also was cool that Ukrainians were allowed to travel without visas all around European countries, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
It was also amazing. Like, I really love that cheap travels when you are paying like
20 euros
yes.
or less. I remember your tickets to Poland where they were like 5-6 euros
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
missed because of Corona, but okay, like
Yeah, and you're
tickets
staying
for 6
you're
euros.
staying in cheap hotels, you are spending night on a railway station. And I remember my husband first trip, it was Lithuania, because they are
Oh.
lovely. There's lovely people.
Oh my God, yeah.
And we were spending 2 nights on the railway station, and Roman was
Classic.
and Roman was reading Viktor Frankl, The Human Being in
Oh.
Searching of Life Meaning, and we were, we are like 20 years old. We're on the railway station. We have few euros in our pockets, but we're reading Viktor Frankl and talking about meaning of this life. So it's like preparation before actually fighting for this meaning of the life.
Yeah, so we actually get really well prepared, and maybe returning to like actual days, like to today's sport. And how was your this week going? Like, was it like good or like hectic? Like, I guess it wasn't that good for anyone in this country, like for anybody in here. But how's your work in general? How you're feeling?
And how is your work? Because
Yeah.
actually you are working as communicational manager. And did communication change with the beginning of the war?
So my week was good. Like, we all live in a contrast. So sometimes you are. I do dancing, which really helps me to like get in the good mood and just to release something through your body and movement. And we do it with Ukrainian music, so it's also nice to like have Ukrainian culture in everything. So my week was pretty good. And speaking about work, of course, communication changed, and we talk in our team that America House became Ukraine House because our focus changed, because it's like irrelevant to talk about only US and American culture, and we are focusing on common values that we have in both countries, and speaking about that and telling about Ukrainian culture to Americans, and also sharing like some insights for Ukrainians too. So in communications, I think it's very important to stay relevant and not ignore what's happening. Because in the beginning, like, we even couldn't do something because we were shocked and tried to figure out what to do. And then we understand, no, we want to do something, and it's a chance for us to share Ukrainian culture. So we kind of refocused, and we're talking a lot about Ukraine. So,
And was it hard to refocus, or it just came naturally, or like how did it happen?
For me
This shift.
personally, it was naturally, and I was happy that I can like at my work do what I love the most, like, speak about my country and why it's cool. It was like kind of hard to work under such circumstances, and I think it's for everyone. But overall, it wasn't hard in terms of work. Like, we were very united in our team, and we like delegated different tasks, and we focused also on our community and audience and interacting with them. So we did Instagram stories about what are you planning to do after the victory, and we had a lot of answers, and they were so nice. And some people wrote that we will come to America House and we'll sit in the yard, or we will rebuild Ukraine, and it was like something that keeps everyone up. And also, one interesting thing, we created a playlist. We called it How Ukraine Sounds. Yeah, so we gathered answers, like recommendations from our audience on Instagram and from our team, and make a post about this playlist, and it gained like 1,000 likes, and it's like very, it's like many for our page, and so it like our social media went up during the war. So because it's something that people need and feel, and it's relatable. So that's
I clearly remember that during the first week of the war, on Instagram of American House, I can find really organized list where I can donate clothes, where I can get a car, and when you like, because people were needed so much different things, and it was so chaotic and it was so fight. All information Janet was placed, and it was Instagram of American House, so it was extremely helpful.
yeah, we're very happy that it was helpful. We wanted it to be.
Yeah, and you're doing cool programs. I joined your workshops, how to fundraise, how to talk about the war, and so on and so on. And you're often inviting people from United States to talk about Ukrainian, about how they are doing. And it's always nice that while they are sharing, we're also sharing our insights, and they are also useful for Americans.
Yeah. So maybe speaking about communication, we have been like seeing a lot of talks about like Instagram banning Ukrainian posts, like Facebook banning, like really useful and non-violent information like that Ukrainians like I don't know maybe need, and also like YouTube also
Yeah,
has
so
some kind of
Every
censorship,
social
like
network.
even Twitter. Like I was so surprised that I thought that Twitter was like a free platform that you could write anything in there, but no. Apparently, like I think you tried to raise some money for some tactical gloves. Yeah.
It's
something.
much more simpler. So first, I noticed that Instagram is blocking all posts with hashtag Russia is a terrorist state. And other people also were complaining that if you post a bowl of cherries and will add location Ukraine, your cherries will be marked like a sensitive content.
Oh my god. Yeah.
Also, if you're making photos Ukrainian passport and there is a trident, your photo also will be marked as a sensitive content. And it's very strange that your life is actually our life. It's very sensitive content, and sometimes it's ridiculous. Then Facebook turned off the function of automatic translation from Ukrainian to English. So it's also not a nice way. And then cherry on our cake. Yesterday, I were posting that our volunteering team bought a backpack and gloves for Ukrainian female soldier, and that was blocked.
Wow.
So there was picture of backpack, candies, and gloves, and it was blocked and deleted. So it just
sounds so much like Russia, like censorship. Like yeah.
But why?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram were trouble even before the war for people in communication, and now it's like really bad. And also you feel this injustice because it's, as you said, it's our life and we want to share it with the world, and they ban it. So as far as I remember, it started with banning hashtags Bucha and Bucha massacre, and hiding photographs of that because Instagram recognized it as
violent as blood, yes, bodies.
And it was automatically because Instagram doesn't know context, and if it's recognized it as this type of content, it bans it. But then Mikhailo Fedorov, he had a meeting with Meta, and they promised that they will be more open and they would change their rules. So it should have been better now, but we still saw that this Russia is terrorist state hashtag was also
banned,
closed. And so this happens also because I guess Russians who else are complaining on those posts, and there are a lot of such complaints, and it makes
like algorithms try to ban it, but like I know that manually Ukrainian developers who work in those companies like go and speak to like their managers, so those hashtags and this content gets unbanned, and people still can see like important information, because like why such censorship about human lives, about even democracy, like basic human values, why banning them on social media, like when it should be spoken about, it should be spread. That's like There are people
Yeah.
fighting. There are
And
people
it's not the
dying.
first time. You
Yeah.
remember this genocide in Africa?
Yeah.
Facebook did the same.
Yeah, I guess just users are not that happy
So
to
our
see
dear
some content.
listeners, if you are
Yeah.
able to code, there is a need of new social network here.
Yeah. I was going to say one thing. Yeah, like with all those censorships, like I guess that every day we now have like a new thing, but like another hashtag, like another type of photos. Like now, many memes get banned. Like my favorite account, like you showed me, this is like it's called Onis, and Instagram, like Instagram bans memes. Like why should like memes without like dead bodies or like just inoffensive memes with a bit, I don't know, dogs and Boris Johnson or something like. Why, like what's wrong with your algorithms, or maybe just there are Russians complaining about like inoffensive memes. Like it's such, I
But
don't know.
we remember the role Facebook played on Brexit. So God, who knows what they are doing?
Brexit on the Trump elections,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
thanks to Russia, yeah, like or
Maybe
America got,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe we will have another legal proceeding, and Mark Zuckerberg one more time will say in the court, "Guys, enjoy it just for fun." Yeah, I may invite you. I invite Mark Zuckerberg in my home and
Mhm.
enjoy Russian missiles just for fun.
And also when there was a story when Roman Ratushny died, the
Yeah.
Ukrainian activist, a young man who was in Ukrainian army. On his Twitter, there was a tweet which was deleted by Twitter because it was recognized as hate speech, but actually it was like defense speech. And people from Ukraine took it up and post on their social media everywhere, like on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, just to show that like we see it, we remember it, and like as in every field, the Ukrainians will never give up and will fight more and just share it until it gets to the audience.
Yeah, sometimes social media just anti-social media.
Yeah.
New
Exactly.
hashtag anti-social media.
Yeah, so just for some context, Roman Ratushny was a Ukrainian activist. Like he first began fighting for like some civilian things, like for against illegal buildings.
Construction in the
Illegal construction, and he died like when he was 24. Like he was really young, but he accomplished so much. Like everyone knew him, and just imagine a person of such a scale that with 24 years, like the whole country knows you, and you do like really inspiring good stuff. Whether like there are so many people that I don't know get older but like don't end anything to this world, but just imagine like such a person, like such a powerful young man being killed, and like this really shook up all the society.
Yeah, you can Google Roman Ratushny in Twitter, and I also post on my Twitter page something about him. And he's just our age. He also said Maidan generation. Some people call me Maidan generation, and he's also Maidan generation. He was on the revolution 2004, 2014 when the war started. He joined the army, and he was killed. And it's fucking sad. Twitter, you may ban me, but it's real. But it's real life. It's fucking sad.
Yeah.
And you know, I keep thinking about 20th century. If you are taking Ukrainian poetry anthology, like 80% of Ukrainian writers were killed by Russians,
or killed or tortured, or
and
just,
these writers were like up to 30 years old, so they were so young. And it's very cool to keep fighting for when you are young and you are inspired, but it's pretty sad if you won't have ability to produce another changes. You know, after all of that, we're really determined to work a lot. We know how to do things, we know what we want, we know languages, we know how to collaborate with people, with organization, how to check everything, but we actually are not sure will we have it. So life here is funny and depressing in just in the same moment.
And also inspiring, I guess. Like
yeah,
it just really shows how much you can do with like, I don't know, like you could be a small person relatively, like with a really small Instagram account or something, like, or a simple job, but then you go and you fight and you speak up for yourself, for your country, and you can accomplish so much like in here in Ukraine that like it's really inspiring. Like you can be anyone, anywhere. Like Yeah.
But you can be a hero, and
Yeah,
everyone is.
totally.
I think that my comrades and my people are heroes.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And actually, it's been funny because before the war, I was like so like not anti social media, but I was like, oh my god, like we spend a lot too much time on Instagram and Facebook, like la la la, like all this stuff. But when the war began, actually, we just saw how much all those communications and like social media help like to fight, to communicate with the people. You know, like you can actually go and check whether they're in a bomb shelter, like whether they are safe, whether they are alive.
Yeah.
That's so sad and tragic, but yeah, like just to check. And then it's been really useful with fundraising. Like now I just really spend more time on social media, but I actually see a lot of value in all this time spent like in social media. Like it's really good invested time because you can communicate better, like you can make better connections, you can raise money for like essential stuff like tourniquets or some ambulances as well, or like just body armor. And
Yeah, and maybe in the end, some advices from communication experts. So,
yay.
what thing is nice to do, and what things better to avoid, especially for now? We know that there is a lot of limitations.
Mhm.
Yeah, I will just add on previous note that every voice matters, and even if you have small Instagram page with I don't know 300 or less followers, it
50
will
followers now.
50 follow, like it doesn't matter if you
Yeah.
can speak to one person, it's
Mhm.
already great. Because from my experience, I don't have many followers, but when I posted things about the war in English, my friends from the US replied on those
Yeah.
Instagram
And
stories
they
and
repost
asked,
maybe,
yeah.
share
So-
information, like
So don't think
Mhm.
that it won't work. It just maybe you wouldn't get the response or message, but it does. That's how we're not small people. We can do small thing that will bring like big change. And what to do and what not to do. I really like the publication of Mariam Nayem. She's also a communication expert, and you can check out her Instagram about what direction to take now in communication. And it's like hope, not like sad things or sorrow, but like focus on something good. Because people abroad, not everyone understand the context and how terrible it feels here, and we talk a lot about it because it does
it hurts,
it's
yeah,
hard.
a lot, yeah.
But like to maybe if we focus more on what changes can happen if they help, what positive positive impact can happen if they help. So to focus on that. And what not to do, I say not to use this topic wrong or in wrong places. Like if you do advertising and some I don't know snacks, don't wear your snacks in body armor. It's stupid. It just doesn't make sense. And because there were I guess some cases, there is a meme on Twitter about like doing laser I don't know,
Epilation?
epilation, and it was like the laser epilation and like help us to win, and it doesn't make sense, it's just you just put it there because it's relevant, but you make it irrelevant, and it's not you don't appreciate what it really means. So
it gets
don't
too
overplay
absurd,
with this topic. It's stupid.
Yeah, and also I were reading few books on propaganda and psychological operations in social media. If you are reading post, and if you can understand that author of the certain post are aiming to make you feel like not worthy, small, unpowerful, and guilty. Probably someone is trying to manipulate. Trying to manipulate you, and different accusation. And these posts are very, very emotional. Sometimes they may send a link to this main source, but if you go to the main source and check the word order, you may see how the second source change the word order, change the verb, and the emotions of the main message. So I often, like when I read something, I do not react on very emotional posts, especially negative emotional posts. And another thing which I really like these times about communication, it's the post of Mikhailo Podolyak, who wrote that, nope, world haven't tired of Ukrainian war, but world have tired of Russia abusing
Normal
power,
countries, yeah.
yeah, making a war and being unfair and committing war crimes and being very unresponsible and authoritarian terroristic countries. So we're tired of that.
Yeah, but I guess we do not have a right to be tired because like our lives depend on that, and we should keep fighting despite that it's really hard living in a war. Like it's been almost 140 days from now, I guess. Like it's so exhausting, but it's still important. Like there are thousands of people dying, so, like millions of people fighting like to protect like these basic human rights, like the right to live, a right to property, just a right to speak their own language. Like as we can see now from the occupied territories, like they are prohibiting Ukrainian language. Like this is such an important thing. Like yes, it is uncomfortable to look all these photos from Ukraine, to read texts about war in Ukraine, but it just must be spoken up and brought up to light, because like if we do not highlight everything that's happening in here, like it's gonna be like Middle Ages. It's gonna be everything dark and like unspoken and hidden, and therefore like encouraged to exist more and more if we do not speak, if we do not stop like all the atrocities that happen here in Ukraine. So thank you everyone who has been here with us for this podcast. Maria,
And maybe just in
yeah.
the end,
Yeah.
we will share what inspiring you ladies.
This week or like in general?
Up to you.
Okay, so this week my inspiration and my therapy have been memes.
Always.
Yeah, it's such a simple and basic thing, but it really helps. Like when you can actually laugh about like I don't know, sad stories or like absurd stories, when you can see some humor and light in it, like it really helps to cope with this, like all these bombardings and shootings and all the tragedies. So yes, like maybe, yeah, it may sound so plain, but yeah, it's memes right now, like such a simple thing, but it really helps. Like it gives like a little ray of light, of sunshine to our everyday lives where we have to cope with work, with war, with our everyday course, like all the duties. And
Yeah.
for you, Maria, what's happened?
I really enjoy when we are managing to raise funds to finally buy something or finally get something, because logistic is crazy and it's very
Mhm.
inspiring because you really can feel that you are making a difference. And I fully understand that my life depends on Ukrainian soldiers fighting,
Mhm.
and I also know that they also depend on me because
Mhm.
they need someone to cover their
Mhm.
backs.
Yeah.
And also, if you would like to help us covering their backs, you can become our Patreon. And the
Mhm.
link to Patreon of our extra small, but in Ukraine, small mean great, to our small podcast is on my description on Twitter. And we are going to buy tourniquets, combat tourniquets.
Yay.
For our defenders, for all monies that are donated to our Patreon. And it's also, I am inspired that I'm keep learning something new. For example, how to make your Patreon account.
And that's so useful right now for all the communication on social media stuff that we are doing right now.
Like
Mhm.
when you're having few jobs, you're having like gym, health problems, house problems, because you're going to another renting flat or like that, family issues, blah 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 blah, volunteering projects, and dissertation. I didn't finish my
Oh my God.
dissertation, and you need to make a Patreon. So you're just doing that, and
Yeah.
it's inspiring that this, I think, what will be the next thing that will fall on my shoulders and I will stop doing everything, but it's never happening. That's inspiring. Thank you,
Oh my
Maria.
God, like you sound like a superwoman of
Yeah,
our times,
just-
like just do everything and everything.
I just
Yeah.
don't know, like, thank you. I don't know what is that, like, what is it, mental
Yeah.
abilities, what part of my brain I should think that.
Yeah.
And it's cool to know that. I think like we changed our opinion on what our human abilities are.
Mhm.
So it's also inspiring to have experience that we actually can do a lot.
Yeah, like actually it feels like right now 44 millions of Ukrainians, like they are actually like superheroes. I don't know, like just making everything they can, and more, and even more, and like pushing through all these atrocities, all these like war things, and like thriving in their life. Like that's really amazing. And Anna, what's been inspiring you like this last?
I agree with you, ladies, with memes there, helping to hang in always the sense of irony that helps you. And also, last week or a few weeks ago, I was interviewing Maria for our project at America House, and it's like so exciting that people around you, everyone is doing something, and that's what you said on the interview. That like, yeah, you feel like you're a superhero, and there are 40 millions of you here. So yeah, so that inspires that every person you know does something, and even if it's small, like in the big picture.
Yeah, we're like we're towards Silicon Valley.
Oh my God, yeah, exactly. Like this should be maybe a title of a book or a movie. Like,
gosh,
this really sounds really nice.
And actually, we are working on a book. Another project we're doing. 5 chapters already exist. Yeah. And we hope you will be our communication manager when we finish it. And also, we're planning to give a gift for you, and it's a beautiful picture. And we're going to sell it to earn money for car for evacuation from the battlefield. And hope you will be our communicational manager in this sale adventure.
I wish you could see this line cut that Maria's like now trying to give them. Sadly, we cannot show it on video, but yeah, just rely on this paper songs that Maria is making to get those line cuts from actually France. Like those pictures are made by her sister, who's right now in France, and it's so powerful. And just for some context, is a man riding a bike near an burning, exploding tank, I guess, Yara building. So, like, right now, all the art is about war.
Yeah.
And, yeah, like, welcome to Ukraine.
And relatable.
So we are also hoping that your Thursday evening will be great, and we know that today you postponed doing something, but we believe in you. You will do it tomorrow. And please do not let any Russians and any other person to stop you on the way to better life.
Yeah. So thank you again, everyone. Thank you to our listeners who stayed with us or who will listen this talk afterwards. Thank you to everyone who has been donating or that has been sharing. Like, just thank you everyone for all your effort, and thank you, girls, Maria and Anna.
And follow follow America House Kyiv on Instagram. It's amazing.
Also, there are America House Lviv and Odessa. So if you dig deeper, and thank you for this evening and talk. It's like very warm to be here and talk.
Can you imagine that in 10 years there will be another revolution because we won't be satisfied with another president, and we will make another podcast. But I hope people won't be dying. And we will listen our podcast and like
I feel nostalgic about like all these talks and like women empowering women. Like I think that's really a powerful message right now.
One day the life will be different.
Yeah, let's hope. So thank you everyone for staying with us. I hope you have a nice evening or morning. Like I don't know whether you are right now in this planet, but thank you once again for being with us. Stay safe. Yeah, stay brave like Ukrainians.
So last time we forgot to turn on the microphone, and this time we might forget to turn it off. Another mistake of the beginner. So thank you one more time, and Olga, our last listener, have a great evening. We appreciate your staying with us.
Bye bye.